In the mind of a lot of people, this is the drone. It's going to be released in a few weeks and we can forget about the Mini 3 Pro because this is now outdated technology. No, this drone is brilliant. If anything, the drone's getting better over time. It's dangerous to worry so much about speculation videos because then you get this imaginary drone in your mind. You get too excited. And you're slipping into the danger of thinking that technology is more important than you are. This is just a tool. That said, we can have a bit of fun with the speculation, talk about what the rumours are, what the likely rumours are. Most importantly, some of you guys might have the Mini 2 at the moment and are wondering whether you should upgrade to the Mini 3 Pro now or wait for the Mini 4. I'm going to do my best to help you and discuss this together. This video is going to be a combination of the rumours that are already out there. We're going to forget some of the nonsense ones, I might mention them here, but there are some crazy ideas going out there. A combination of some of the more logical rumours, also with an educated guess, look towards the future. What can we, because it's going to be a tough drone for the DJI this. The Mini 3 Pro is already a very good drone, but they have to improve it to entice us to buy more. But then they also don't want to destroy the sales of the higher end drones. And remember, we also do have to be realistic about keeping this under 250 grams. There's only so much they can do with things like the wind resistance, but I do think they will improve that on the Mini 4. So first things first, the release date. Now the Mini 2 was released in November 2020, the Mini 3 Pro in May 2022. So if you follow this schedule, it's logical Mini 4 Pro, whatever it's called, will be released in this year, 2023, November. And it makes sense, it's before Christmas. We can't be exact with this, there could be delays, but I think there's a good chance, based on previous schedules, that this would come out. Now, what are your thoughts on this, guys? Do you feel like DJI are releasing too many drones? There's a lot of mixed emotions about this. I feel like if you stick to one series, then it's pretty good. I think they do it pretty well. At least it's not like some other camera companies where it's literally every year. Honestly, some drones I can't get excited about, like the Mini 3, the one that's just come out. But it's there to fill a gap. If people don't want to use a D-Cine like, then I can understand why it's been released. The one release I didn't like was the Mavic Air 2. That was released a year later, they released the Air 2S. I prefer what they've done with this, release the Pro version first, because then people aren't paying out and then seeing this better model and then wanting to upgrade. I think it's much fairer on the consumer to release the best model first and then release the more budget options down the line. So I think realistically what we can look at with the Mini 4 is, in my reviews in the past, I've always compared it to the Air 2S because I've owned that drone as well. I think DJI have done a great job with the Mini 3 Pro in closing the gap and bringing the best of the Mini 2 with the Air 2S, but there are a couple of areas where the Air 2S is still king on this. In fact, I often go out with both drones, generally use the Mini 3 Pro more, but particularly because of the wind resistance, I do sometimes still use the Air 2S. Will the Mini 4 have as good wind resistance as the Air 2S? That's going to be difficult with the flight restrictions, but I do think it can close the gap more with the Mini 3 Pro. And I think in a lot of situations, a lot of people will be happy just having the Mini 4. With the Mini 4, I think there's a really good chance we'll get 5.4K on a 1-inch sensor. Nothing's certain, but they're going to have to increase the camera capability on that drone. Now, the nice thing, if we do get the 5.4K, this will be really nice for filming things like castles, because it gives you the ability to crop in afterwards, which compresses the image. When you're doing your orbits, this can create a more dynamic look. It's not certain we'll get this 5.4K because it will be a heavier sensor, so it's a challenge for the DJI engineers, but they are wizards, so I'm fairly confident we'll get this feature. The one feature on the Mini 4 I'd be really excited would be sideways obstacle avoidance. Again, keeping it under 250 grams, I do think this is going to be a challenge, but I think it would be fantastic to have it on this weight class of drone, to be able to just have that peace of mind when you're doing your orbits, when you're doing your slide motions. Combining this with a 5.4K camera as well, is going to be incredible. Those two together is what's going to make me really excited about the upcoming drone. There's some crazy talk on the internet about there being a hybrid drone, that you can do FPV, under 250 grams, and also the cinematic shots. And it also can cook your breakfast while it's at it. Now, it sounds fantastic, but you have to be realistic, guys, about the build quality of these mini drones. They're the most fragile drones out there. So to go from that to then having this Frankenstein drone that you can fly in cities with your goggles on, take a hit, we're getting into the sort of Narnia territory here, guys. And I think some of the leaked images that have come out of people have got a little bit carried away with. Now, I do think eventually there will be a hybrid drone. You could have argued that the Avatar is already a step in that direction, but I think to have that under 250 grams this early on is getting a little bit carried away. I would say it's more likely to come from the, let's say we have an Avatar in the future that crosses the bridge. There are also, you have to think about the restrictions, and is it realistic to have a drone that's under 250 grams? You're giving it to people to fly. It's going to be so tempting to put those goggles on and fly it around cities. Really difficult one, that. But I do think that we can be excited in the future about having some sort of hybrid drone. You can take out and capture really good shots on both. You've already got FPV mode, remember, on this, guys, to create some of those shots. But I think we have to be respectful at these. We're not meant to crash these drones. The Avatar, it's got this shell casing, it's designed to take a hit. It's very hard to have the lighter drones. The build quality could well be improved on the Mini 4 Pro. It's definitely something to look at for DJI. This is very fragile. It's one of the weaknesses of the drone. I've always said in my reviews, the build quality is not the best. But we do have to think that they're gonna do their best to keep it light, and I just think having an FPV mix between the two is Narnia territory, basically. So yeah, the leaked images that have come out, then it's not happening, guys. I think it's a cool design, and I think DJI will definitely look at it. But remember, that's just a fan drawing, fan rendition, but there's too much going on there, I think, which strays from this. So let me talk to you guys that have already bought the Mini 3 Pro, and you're thinking, for goodness sake, they're already talking about these leaks, all these rumors. What I would say to you, because I'm in that camp as well, and I'm not sponsored by DJI, so in a way I can understand the annoyance. So many drones coming out, it's enough. I just want to enjoy this drone being the best, which it is, by the way, for in this category at least. Remember, it took 6 months for DJI to release the sharpness, to be able to control the sharpness. So this Mini 3 Pro is now the best it's ever been. I love DJI to bits, but I don't like how they release these drones and then things that should be included are not there with the firmware update. It's a bit like a puppy that I love, but then bites my carpet up, you know? It's like you're forgetting about the cinematographers. It's annoying. Just remember that. If you've got the Mini 3 Pro now, it's probably not going to come out until November, and then when it comes out, it's probably not going to be at its best. It's going to take a few more months after that, particularly with things like the hyperlapses. They don't give you the smoothest footage to start with. That is actually something with the Mini 4 will be exciting, because if it does improve the wind resistance, that is something that the Mini 3, it does night hyperlapses well, but a little bit of wind and you do see this shake. Now, I've been chatting recently with a guy called Denico, who's got a really good channel. Saw one of his videos in Leeds and I thought it was brilliant, but I spoke to him on the comments and he said that a lot of his shots with the Mini 3 Pro had this jello effect. Now, I haven't noticed it too much, but I have, when I've done some slider motions more recently, seen a little bit. So I can understand why if you went out in stronger wind and were flying closer to buildings, you would see a little bit of jello effect. This is something that could definitely be improved with the Mini 4 Pro, and I think a lot of people are hoping, expecting that in an upcoming drone. So if you've got a Mini 2, should you upgrade your drone now to the Mini 3 Pro or hold on? I would say it depends what you've got coming up in the next few months. If you've got a once in a lifetime trip and you've got the savings, then I would still go for the Mini 3 Pro. It is a nice upgrade from that, but the Mini 2 is also a very good drone. So if you're planning on staying in your local area, I'd probably stick with that, work on your skills, and then when the Mini 4 comes out, maybe you don't even buy that drone. Maybe you decide that the difference isn't worth it. But this is going to come down in price a lot then. So that's something to always factor. You could get a used Mini 3 Pro, they'll be going out like candy come next, probably Christmas. So for a bit of fun, I had to show you guys how I filmed this little guy. He just sums up how I think about drones when I get too obsessional about them. Best £25 I've ever spent. Listen to this. You press a button down here. Anyway, we've got the lighting system here. This is the main light actually. Cheapest chips, these LED lights. You can take them, they're battery operated, so you can take them anywhere. They're great. And up here we've got this, but that's not that important in this context. You've got that coming in at an angle here because you don't want to have it too front on because it kills the sort of Halloweeny look we have on Golan. Got the A7S III recording here. Have the white balance down a little bit bluish. Probably spent longer filming this than I did on the actual content, to be fair. Some of you guys have been asking about wanting to know how I did it, so I thought I'd just throw that in as a little bonus. In future, maybe have slightly more serious things. But how can you get better than... Oh, he's going to fall.